every one round is going to give us another pack, which is kind of nice, I think. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if I would feel comfortable in the format, then 8 Force is definitely like the better deal. You get like the highest competition, and if you make the finals, it's really good. But I think doing the Swiss is better now. Well, if it ever fires. Hi guys, some German fans, I want to say. There's a new Gw coming out this week, maybe even tomorrow. So check out Planet MTG for that. If you know German, then you can watch it. You can if you don't, but then it's kind of worse, I suppose. It's not Modern Masters though. Now, okay, we have some weight on our hands here. We are going to have to do some rare drafting though. I mean, if there's cards that are worth a lot, I'm just going to pick them. Especially in a Swiss draft, I think it's just, well, there's just no real alternative. I think blue is somewhat overrated. I don't like the dampen thought, splice stuff. I think that you can actually go storm much more realistically than mill. I think Rebels is powerful, but it's not my style. Just playing a Rebel and then tapping out for its activated ability, and it's not like all eggs in one basket, but it kind of constricts what you are capable of doing. I think green. I think the green creatures are super powerful, every one of them basically. And yeah, I haven't really figured out black yet. Hi guys, yeah, I don't stream all that often, but I try to do it like 2 to 3 times a month. And I also guest Skype in on Jan's stream for Dizzle sometimes, and you might know me from my work for Wizards when I do the European Grand Prix coverage. Oh, that's cool, a large brand. I didn't really know how long you were going to take. I also didn't want to ask in your chat because that would have been kind of rude. The thing is, it's already like 9:30 and I have to work tomorrow, so I had to start at some point. I was aware that you were streaming, but that's perfect. Then no harm done. No. I have no clue about such a thing. So we have the rare isn't worth a lot, but it's pretty powerful and limited. If you can reach 6 mana, then any other creatures basically persists on your side of the battlefield, which is pretty crazy. There's also the Verdict, which I think is somewhat underrated. This is not a card I'm not going to bother with. Red has a lot of burn spells. Torrent of Stone is probably the best one because 4 toughness is kind of a big deal. But there's actually a lot of them have, I don't know, like 5 toughness even, so Torrent of Stone isn't even all that amazing. Well, the other cards aren't all that great. There's Bone Splitter, Saltfield Recluse, there's Spellbomb. I think it's between Torrent of Stone. You could argue for Bone Splitter because of its colorless nature, and then the Valkyrie is just very, very good. I think I'm going to go with the rare here because it's the card that I know the least about. I mean, you always know what Torrent of Stone is going to do for you, and Torrent of Stone isn't even a card that you want to splice. So I hope that you know the cards or you can read the cards good enough. This is kind of a difficult format if you haven't played a lot before. I mean, I could open the card window, but I don't really think it adds a lot. I'd rather have this as large as possible. No, Bone Splitter isn't bad, but it's like nothing I'm too excited about. I don't want to pick it up so early. This is a more powerful format than anything else, really. I like Imperious Sword in this pack. I think Party Dragon is horribly overrated. It's not really that great. Imperious Sword is just a very solid card. And I also think that Emerald Seekers can be quite good because it's just a 3 mana unblockable guy. And putting pressure on your opponent is quite potent. I'm going to go with Imperious Sword here. I don't know, I just like the efficiency of the Imperiosaur. This pack has Search for Tomorrow and Pestermite. There's Drag Down. Like I said, I don't really think having the having this domain approach is really good. It's more of a fallback plan. And I love Search for Tomorrow. I think it's better than Kodama's Reach in Modern Masters based on my own experience, but also from what I've seen different streamers do. Search for Tomorrow is just, like, if you suspend it on turn 1, it's absolutely insanely good. And I think I'm going to take it here. I see no reason to pick a Pestermite because it doesn't really fit with my first 2 picks. I think Pestermite is amazing, but I like Surge because I have a feeling, like I have a theory that Imperiosaur Search for Tomorrow could form the backbone of a very strong green deck, and it doesn't really matter what you pair it with. Search for Tomorrow is great in blue-green Suspend, in red-green Storm, in just green fatties with whatever. But you will also play it in Thallids or even in Dredge. Like I said, it just doesn't matter where you have it. So that's my theory, at least. Yeah, we can go Thallids, but only if they show up, which hopefully makes some sense. Now, yeah, this is basically what we're looking to do. Now, the obvious pick would be Nantuko Shaman, just to have something for your curve, and yes, there's also boxes. Like there's 10 4,000 card boxes below them as well. I have a lot of cards. I think it's between Shaman and Changeling, and there's really no reason to go into red so soon. We don't really have any knowledge about that. The thing is that I'm not sure if I'm white yet. I think Avian Changeling doesn't push me into white enough, but I would love to draft green, so I'm just going to do that. Here it's basically the Ancient in green. And I'm not going to take Vivid Grove, and that's because I value Imperiosaur a lot. And that means playing Vivid Grove on turn 1 is pretty awful. Now, we could go into white-green. I know that white-green is supposed to be like the Thallid color, so it would make more sense to pick the Ancient rather than the Recluse. I wouldn't mind some Rebels or some low-curve cards, but the Ancient is just very efficient. It might be that we are heading towards somewhat of a stupid deck, but we aren't even committed to white yet. And Soulfleet Recluse is hopefully not a card that people pick up as a super strong signal for white. But I'm also still open to anything else, but the Ancient is just great value. Okay, I think we are getting great signals here. Seeing Apocrycite, Giant Dustrops, and Dorkwith Bollard still in the pack means that a green Suspend strategy is certainly open, and that's great. Now, I think classical theory, well, if we assume that we are picking a green card, which I am, I think they are better than Apocrycite and Glacial Wave for what I'm doing here. No, there's a Pellet Mycoderm, but I'm not going to jump in on that. So the thing I wanted to argue is that Dirkwolf Ballard is actually more powerful than Giant Dust Rasp, and that's because green is just capable of taking huge chunks out of your opponent's life total, and Suspend 5 on a single green Suspend card is effectively the same as Suspend 4 on a more expensive card. Now, I think this pack is going to mean we are just picking up the green cards, cutting green as hard as possible, then we are going to get rewarded in pack 2, and then we still have the shot at splashing this with like 5 planes, or heading into it towards a completely different color. And that means I'm picking up the Germinator here, works well with everything we have so far, and it's also not too expensive. Blue might be open, but I kind of, it might sound weird, but I think that cards like Errant Ephemeron are somewhat dangerous because 7 mana to hardcast a 4/4 flyer is really expensive in this format, and you just often don't have the time or the board control to get the blue creatures to do work. I like the fairies approach, but I've seen a lot of like blue Suspend cards being dominated. Like Cloudskate is obviously amazing, but The other cards, not so much. Here, Mask Admirers is a great pickup. I think 8th pick, Mask Admirers is a great sign that we are doing the right thing. I would love to try Echoing Courage with Empty the Warrens at some point, but here it's just clearly the green card. And this is the pack we started with. Thallid or Sudden Shock are the real options here. Not going to, yeah, I'm just going to go with the green card. Don't see any reason not to. Here's Walker of the Grove. That's actually quite an interesting card because it's like so many cards in the format. It's kind of like a split card. You get an 8 mana thing or a 5 mana thing, and which is a very expensive split card, different from this split card or this split card or this split card or this split card. But I'm still going to take it because I think that 5 mana 4/4 is kind of like the baseline, and if you ever flood, then you get some extra value. Yeah, so much. It's possible that you just have so much more experience than me, and you are completely correct, but it just doesn't fit into my view of the format. And I've been like one of the biggest fans of the Ephemeron in Time Spiral block, Time Spiral Limited. So, but I'm still trying to figure out the format. I just saw like anecdotal evidence, like whenever I saw people with the Ephemeron on Twitch, they weren't really winning, or Iron Ephemeron wasn't really doing the work it's supposed to do, which I found very astonishing. So I'm trying. I'm hesitant to go into blue if it's not with cheap fairies and tempo plays and tricks. And I think suspending is maybe it's something which you just have to build your deck around. But like I said, I'm also not the fan of going for like domain strategies or stuff. Now, can anybody tell me if this is worth anything? Otherwise, I just have to check myself. Okay, no, it's not really worth anything. Good to know. So we have incremental growth and Penumbra Spider in our colors. Either Battle is a great magic card, but only if you have it on turn 1, basically. So yeah, okay. So now that sounds more like what I was trying to explain. It's really good if you get like the suspend deck, but I've just seen that fail too many times to really call that a working strategy. I'm a big fan of the growth, but I think that the Penumbra Spider is probably just what we want here. It's just almost unbeatable. The spider, it doesn't look amazing, but the fact that it just comes back is just so good. Here we have it, the Ephemeron. There's a Slaughter Pact, and there's not a single green card here. That's really bad for us, given that we have picked almost only green cards. But I don't know if we have to worry already. Probably not. We're probably fine. We could pick up another Vivid Grove. Could pick up a Gleam of Resistance, or we could just, well, there also aren't any white cards. Yeah, this is a really bad pack for us. Hopefully that's not the case for the other packs. Not going to pick Arcbone Worker, I don't think so. Doesn't really do anything in my deck. Grove is fine, except for Imperiosaur. This is like the problem. I think if I take a black card, I'm definitely taking Slaughter Pact. That's just so much better. I think the Slaughter Pact might be the pick. Because Gleam of Resistance is fine and all, but it's just not amazing. I'm just going to take this out and then we see where things go. Okay, there's a second Imperiosaur competing for the second Dirkwolf Ballot. And that's pretty cool. I think both are quite good, but we can probably get more Balots later rather than Imperiosaurs. On the other hand, we have more than enough 4-drops, and the Baloth can just come down on turn 1. I'm not too sure about the white cards yet, the Mycoderm. Yeah. I know that like Thallids is a good is a good strategy, but I don't have the feeling that Thallids in particular is very open. I don't know. I don't think that Stingrudens is a particularly good. It's a particularly good card, to be honest. I'm definitely just deciding between the two green cards here, and but they are both follow like the same strategy of just having gigantic 5-drops. And overall, I just think that having the non-split card, just having the card that does what it does, 4 mana 5/5, is probably a little better than having a card that's insane on turn 1, but then you need to reach 6 mana to actually do anything with it. You could overload on Bailoffs so that you can actually always do something with it, but I think that's the safer pick. And to be honest, I'm willing to cut almost any of those 4-drops if necessary. And I'm also not going to play any non-basic lands, which is going to be somewhat of a challenge, but I'm not playing too many non-basics with 2 Imperiosaurs. That I think that would be suicidal. Yeah, Wood Readers is fine. Could also pick Fiery Fall to have some removal, but I think it's too expensive. Rift Sweeper, Foil Apocryphite, Wall of the Grove, Terramorphic Expanse. All of these cards are pretty sweet, and Rift Sweeper kind of looks like my card here. It's insane value if it triggers. We only have a single well, yeah, the Shame doesn't really count. Yeah, this has to be the pick. I like it better than Apocryphite also. And hopefully we can make the mana work. We can also just play mono green so far. This is interesting because Moldavine Cloak I don't think is that great in the format. Especially like if you go the fatty strategy, it's not always necessary to make them more fat. I kind of like Thalid here. This might be stupid. Like we can like play the Valkyrie and somehow get the mana fixed, do some stuff, play Blinding Beam. No, I mean we already have Spore Sour and the Ancient. I'm going to take that. Like I said, oh, that's a great pickup. I think Search for Tomorrow is severely underrated, and it's the card I want to see most. A card like this, like Incremental Growth, is also going to make all of our small guys so much better. That's a late Ephemeron. Didn't say it was awful, just that it wasn't that as good as people thought. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's perfectly fine in like currently to just play a Swamp and a Plains maybe. Have everything else be green. Hanakami doesn't really do anything, I think. Perforce is actually quite nice, quite good. I also like Logic Knot, but we are never going to play it. Sensibilism is not a card I'm interested in. Never, ever. No. I think it's pretty awful. I like our deck though. Like I said, I'm not too sure where things are going, but we are going to have trouble filling our deck with good playable, with very good playables. So Dragonstorm is another miss on the value department. We have a Vivid Grove, so we do have one non-basic land currently, and I'm not sure if we would play it with the 2 Imperiosaurs. Maybe we would just not play it at all. Worm Harvest needs lands in your graveyard. It's not really great. Well, if you pick a Thallid here, it's definitely the Shell Dweller because we need a 2-drop much more than a 5-drop. Bone Splitter has risen in value now that we have a lot of cheap creatures, but the Shell Dweller I think is still the best card for us. Well, there's an argument to be made for the Ancient because we do have 2 Search for Tomorrows, So we are really looking to yeah, skip some of the early stuff. So we don't really need all that much here. The wall could wheel, yeah, but well, I mean, what would you take? That's the thing. Like, I know Rift and Cloudskate is good, but it's not the card that we want in our deck. Blinkmoth Nexus and Path to Exile both look quite promising. Blinkmoth Nexus is nice with changelings, but we don't have any of these. So yeah, so what do we have here? We have removal spells, like Path to Exile is certainly probably the easiest choice, and I think Blinkmoth Nexus is like the alternative. I'm never taking Kodama's Reach. I think Kodama's Reach is pretty bad, and everybody is picking it up very early for absolutely no reason. Like, this deck already has 2 Search for Tomorrow, and if we pick up more mana, then, well, it just it becomes a worse deck. And I think it's just path. We don't have any removal. We want to play white anyway, so why not just make a good white splash here? That's pretty sick. We have the shot at another Masked Mirrors or a Moldavine Cloak, which I both think are better than these, and I don't want to dilute my deck with blue cards at this point. So can hide most of this. Like, the Paradise Metal looks kind of nice with all the cheap cards. Maybe we just play this. But our deck's going to be so full of cards. Maybe just the card draw, Masked Mirrors. But I don't know. Then we have so many 4-drops. We also have the Search for Tomorrows to like get there. We could put Moldavine Cloak on something and have another flood protecting card. Yeah, Moldavine Cloak might be better than a second Masked Mirrors. I think that's kind of a difficult pick. Probably going for that version is the way to go. Thundercloud Shaman, Etched Oracle, Thallid, Moldavine Cloak, Torrent of Stone. Holy cow. I don't think like a third Thallid is all that amazing. But now we pick the Moldavine Cloak, so yes, there are decks that Kodama's Reach is amazing in. There are decks where Kodama's Reach is the best card in the deck, but I don't think that those decks are particularly good. I think Kodama's Reach is best in decks that have kind of failed to get there, and that's why I think it's a mistake to take Kodama's Reach just very early. I would love to play like a Blinding Beam, but this is pretty tough to pass. Shell Dweller does a lot of work for so little. Yeah, maybe we get another Blinding Beam, but now that I think about it, I don't really know how to put all of these in my deck anyway, so you're probably going to have to think about that. This is cool. We have Penumbra Spider, arguably one of the best green commons, but I think that this deck is a Search for Tomorrow deck, and I'm going to just slam this. And now we can play everything you see here. There's also a giant, like, it's going to be awkward, like, to have the Rift Reaper Search for Tomorrow draw, but I'm sure we can work things out. Echoing Courage, it's a nice trick with all the Subrolling tokens. And Dust Grasp is okay. Yeah. Dust Grasp is fine. They are like completely different cards, obviously. I want the Courage. I'm going to make more than enough Thallids for that to be worth it. And I think this is probably better. Now the white one is probably better than the 5-drop, right? Doesn't really matter that this costs 5 because we have so many 4-drops, but I think Pellet Microderm is just more powerful. And here we might hate draft the Kodama's Reach, but with no intentions of playing it. Death Denied, wow. I think that card is pretty busted. Valid. Okay, so I think we picked some pretty sweet cards here. We're going to have to make some tough cuts, but I'm up to the challenge. Then we have to figure out how our mana is going to look like and so on. Yeah, we didn't get like one of the super insane cards, but we went into one of the open colors, like green was super open, and then because green was open, it looks like green-white was just also open. Like the Thalid part of green-white was open. So no complaints there. We can even play our 3 rare, which is worth quite a lot. And the one weakness of this deck is that it doesn't have a lot of removal or tricks, which is why I picked up the Echoing Courage. Like it's not Blinding Beam, but it can have a similar effect once our deck gets going. Yes, the whole everything behind me is magic cards. Is there any reason to not play the Rift Sweeper because we have 3 Search for Tomorrow? Like, I mean, of course there's a reason, but is it sensible to like not play Rift Sweeper in your main deck as long as you don't know that your opponent has some suspend cards? That's an interesting question. I've only like added the core of the Thallid plan, and then everything else basically. So this is I'm not building this deck like I would a regular limited deck, but I want to get an idea of how strong this plan is before I decide how to approach things. I think Rift Sweeper is probably a card for the sideboard, and we might not need the incremental growth because I think that Echoing Courage is better. So we are going to play the Valkyrie. I think the power level is just too much not to play it. And then the easiest way to lose games in this format is probably to not do enough early on in the game. 3 Thallids is pushing it, but we are trying to push the Thallid strategy overall, so that can't really be wrong. We do have six 4-drops, so we definitely need to be careful with that. I'm going to add the Baloths because they work so well in this deck, just as a cheap thing to do in between. The Wood Readers also seem pretty sweet, because we are going to play 19 mana sources if we play 16 lands. Ah, well, maybe we even have to play 17, who knows. But I know, like, we are playing like all these cards in our sideboard, which can't be right. We kind of have to make a Thallid deck work while also including like some really powerful cards, and I'm not sure how to do that. Every card we add from these here are going to weaken the overall Thallid plan. But I love the I attack for 5 plan. I think that's just a very good, a very powerful plan. So maybe if we do the whole overrun thing with the Microderm, we aren't dependent on the spells too much. I like to have some tricks, but maybe this deck is really meant to be more of a primitive, permanent based deck. And then we have this to actually take over, and this acts as a removal spell. And I really like the Wood Readers simply because we are prone to getting flooded a little bit, and then this is a great 6-drop. Now, I think we can add 1 or 2 more cards. And the Recluse, I want to know that it's good before I put it in. The Shaman has the advantage that it can also just come down on turn 3. And then Master Admirers and Penumbra Spider are also really, really good. So I'm questioning if I'm making a mistake by keeping in the Dirkwood Bailoffs. It's possible that they are like basically the weakest link in the deck. Yeah, that's also a good point. I'm not going to play the Cloaks. I think I have too many cards that I really don't want to play it on too early, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like this is the part where Modern Masters gets really hard, I think. One could also say that, well, I'm not going to play the 5/5s, the expensive 5/5s, because if my deck keeps going long enough, then I'm basically guaranteed to win. So I'm not even going to bother with random 5/5s, but rather just do the token thing in the best way possible, which is quite reasonable. Paradise Mantle. It does look pretty sweet. Well, the search is probably always going to be suspended because it's our way of reaching 4 mana quickly. Hmm. I think we just build the most greedy deck, and that is basically trying to hit Search for Tomorrow and then accelerate out a 4-drop. But that means we need to include some of the cheaper 3-drops, some of the cheaper creatures, and that means we take out some of the low impact cards and try to build a more curve-oriented deck that might look like this. And then we kind of have a little bit of everything, a little bit of defense, a little bit of late game, a little bit of flying defense, but we still have like these to just beat down, which might just be what we want. Yeah, okay, like the Wood Readers might be like the weakest link here. The Wood Readers, maybe I just like them too much, and they're really just not that great. It's kind of like a Green Maldrifter, though. Okay, I can see cutting this one. And yeah, let's see what we have. I'm not going to play Kodama's Reach, like I said, I don't think it does enough in this deck. I'm not going to play Ribbit Grove because of the 2 Imperial Swords, which I don't want to cut. And now it's either this with an 11/6 mana base, but we could play a Moldovan Cloak in this deck. I'm very sure that we could. Could also play the Wood Readers. The Rift Sweeper, I think. Well, getting the Moldovan Cloak back from your graveyard does cost you a draw step, so it's not like free in any way. It's basically like a flood protection spell. I like this whole Feed Recluse, that looks kind of fitting. And Rift Sweeper has some amazing upside. Like if things work out and you play against the right deck, and it could be a powerful deck, having a turn to Rift Sweeper just completely demolishes them. It's kind of sad to not play the Bailout. I think they're actually pretty good. Maybe it would be correct to just play one of them, or actually just play like this. So okay, the chat isn't really decided here. I kind of like where we are going here, and just playing one more creature definitely has its upside. I'm not going to play the Rivet Grove. I have 2 Imperial Swords. I think that would be a mistake. The problem is our deck is not like super straightforward. I think it's now either a Rift Sweeper or a Baloth as the 24th card. But it could also be that we just play both Baloths. But I just don't see what we cut. Like, we can cut 1 Search for Tomorrow maybe. Yeah, but after that it becomes pretty crazy. Going to play 11-5. Yeah, I'm playing 16 land. 11-5 because that should be enough for most of the white cards, and because I have Search for Tomorrow, I should be able to cast Eric Curry when we reach 6, and that should be fine. I'm not even playing the Rift Sweeper. Well, the thing is, like, if my plan was Search for Tomorrow, would you play 7 Search for Tomorrows? No, you wouldn't. There is a cost associated to it. If your plan is, let's say, Go House Chainwalker, then you would play 7 of it, because your deck just gets better and better and better. We immediately have the decision to make what to do here. Let's see, a Sandsower. Thallid does give us some value. We might be stuck on lands at some point. I'm going to suspend this. I don't want to risk it. Okay, we won't have the easiest matchup here because we can't stop the stream of rebels from coming in. But if we draw a land, we can just start Imperial Soaring. That didn't work out. Awkward. Now we really need to draw a land. We didn't draw one in the draw steps we had. Okay, good. So now I'm just going to run out the 5/5s because I think that they have the best shot at getting there. If he searches out the pacifism, it's not that bad because we can just get another one. Yeah, this is actually pretty good for us, I think. We can still use Sandsower, for example, for all kinds of stuff going on. Maybe I should have attacked last turn. No, I'm still not going to do that. He might have the Thundercloud Shaman, so... This is a 3/2. So, yeah, I kind of like Moss Admirers here. Haze Giant. Good that we have a 3-power creature here. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, so we can start getting back Mask Admirers, but there is a problem that we don't really have all that. Well, like, tempo isn't on our side. Yeah, just getting the Thallids active is quite nice. I'm afraid, like, I don't know if I have to chump block. Well, if I have a 2/4, actually, just block this. Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. I could also like Sandsower, but that blocks worse actually. Okay, I'm just assuming that he doesn't have like a gigantic spell here, and he might not even have too many rebels or too many good rebels. So we pretended to be a 5/5 beatdown deck, but now the fungi are going to take over. That's the plan. I don't even think that there is a lot that the white-red rebel deck can do, or the white-red giants deck. But we'll see. Like there's potentially sudden shock, I suppose. Oh yeah, I never auto yield. That's a very good point. Not the fastest player anyway. Okay, just some giants. Yeah, I probably should have cast that first. No, it doesn't work if we suspend the chain. That's true. I have no idea if this block this attack is far too aggressive. Yeah, I probably should have censored first. But I wanted to have the sensor on defense. Maybe that was a mistake. The thing is, he can't really like do much against this onslaught. Ah, too aggressive. I don't know. Yeah, that's true. Like, it's possible that we could have just waited. Now we are maybe somewhat weak to a top decked Thundercloud Shaman. Not even sure if that's true though. Okay, 1, 2, 6, 8 plus 12. Isn't that just lethal? Okay. I am a research assistant at university, and I'm also pursuing my PhD. So I get paid for my teaching and research, but it's also part of my PhD. Yeah, that was easy. No idea what happened there, really. I have a diploma in mathematics, and I'm working on my PhD in electrical engineering. We aren't really weak to um, well, I don't sleep all that much. Loading ready run. No, it's like it's a lot, but I can do it. I like being busy. So I really like our deck against his. I think the bailout is probably the weakest link. The Penumbra Spider. Well, he has shown like the Changeling. So the bailout is the worst because our big guys are just weak to the rebel aura thing. I think we could bring in Corrosion Grip or Incremental Growth. I think these are the two options. Incremental Growth looks amazing against Red Red, to be honest. Kind of like Incremental Growth a lot. And Imperiosaur is kind of like also quite weak actually, but it's 4 mana 5/5. It just has to be dealt with. I'm going to play it like this. Don't think I need Corrosion Grip. He has just like one Bound in Silence, and like my deck isn't even weak to Bound in Silence. It's pretty good against Bound in Silence. Search for Tomorrow is amazing. It's not even Arrest, it's only Bound in Silence. Well, so back to the coverage thing. I basically get there just for the weekend, so it's not that bad. And I play Magic a lot, so and the analytical part of commentating is comes natural to me, so it's not like a super time intensive job or anything. I actually don't think that my deck is very weak to Thunderclaw Shaman. My Pro links are kind of weak to Thunderclaw Shaman, but my deck isn't. And in fact, his deck is probably weaker to Thunderclaw Shaman than mine. You can't really play Thunderclaw Shaman and Kithkins. I play more drafts. I like limited more. I also do my limited series at mtgoacademy.com and a German limited series at planetmtg.de. Oh, that was a good draw. I'm also not weak to Ivory Giant. When the opponent has an Ivory Giant, you just make the tokens after the trigger has resolved. So one thing that happened here, which is important for all of you that are going to Vegas, you definitely have to keep that in mind. When you have a Suspend card and a Fungus, then you can just take the Suspend time counter from the Suspend card and put it on the Fungus, and you basically save yourself the search for another counter, and you can't forget either. I kind of had the feeling that my creature was going to die, but I didn't think that it was worth it to wait on that. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I should have played this first, but then I still would have needed like a 6th mana to protect it. So now it's soon going to be time to overrun once again. Okay, I don't really think we can lose now. Yeah, that's true, of course. But usually you know about Ivory Giant in advance. And in this format, I'm not going to play around everything there is. That was a good draw. Can't protect it yet, but I think we just run it out there. Okay, if we untap now, then feeling very confident. Yeah, there isn't much to shoot it for 5, I think. That's why we took it, and I'm happy that we built a deck that could make use of it, and that's what Search for Tomorrow is also good for. I think the tempo swing of going turn 3 Kodama's Reach is just a little bit too much, but this is perfect. Confident. Yeah, it gives +1/+1 for. Okay, this is getting tapped. None of these are going to die, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. Blinded by the light. Is there a Wrath effect in the format? Like a true Wrath of God? Well, I know about the giant, like Thundercloud Shaman, but that's not a wrath effect. That's a tremor effect that sometimes is a bit larger. Oh, right, there's Molten Disaster. Do you know what Molten Disaster targets? Our opponent is quite flooded also. Okay, yeah, it's Earthquake. It costs an extra red, so it's an instant Earthquake. And with another red, it's split second. It's been a while. The future side cards. This is Pellet Microderm. Oh, what's that? Rift Bolt. Oh well, I think we can let that die. Our deck is performing exceptionally well, and his isn't doing anything. He's drawn like two bad creatures: Torrent of Stone, Rift Bolt, Blinding Beam, and Bone Splitter. Um, the thing is, removal is a lot worse when the games are so value focused, or the decks are so value focused. Even though like Torrent of Stone, Blinding Beam, Rift Bolt would have been great if he had a good curve and was attacking, we still have so many powerful cards that can't simply be dealt with by Torrent of Stone that it's just not likely to happen. Just look at what we have here. Torrent of Stone isn't even good against our decks. Well, it did get the Thallid, which was a great trade, of course, but overall removal is just weaker in this format than in others. Okay, so what's going on here? Are we getting an update? Yeah, okay. So we have two outstanding matches. It's kind of boring. I mean, it's pretty obvious that in a format with suspend creatures comes into playability, enters the battlefield creatures, all kinds of mechanics that mean you will always have a lot of cards in hand, play a lot of stuff. That removal in general is just weaker. There were other formats. No, this is Swiss actually. There are other formats where you could have, let's say, two Glacial Rays and some other arcane spells in hand, and you would kill every single card that your opponent played. Um, Nothing survives basically. And here, if you have two Glacial Rays and a Torrent of Stone, then you are happy if your opponent doesn't play a 5/5. And if you have, oh, that's true. Um, so Modern Masters Swiss, and we are 1-0. Horobi's Whisper is a completely different card because it kills anything, but it has a significant cost. Both the double black and the, what is it, Exile 4 is quite a lot. let's see if we have something cool to play. Oh yeah, I believe that. Like that's actually how you should draft Damp Thought. It has to be a control deck that can actually hold the ground, which is I find difficult, but that's how you do it. And the best Damp Thought deck, like in the original block, was basically a combo deck that would fog its way to victory. I think the card was called Ethereal Haze. It was also used in Constructed later, but we don't have it. Yeah, so you would play this to basically fog and then splice Damp Thought. And of course there's a lot of other blue-white arcane spells. Sometimes you could splash green for Hanakami to have like some kind of recursion going on, especially with Death Denied, which is also an arcane spell. Candle's Light, yeah, that's a card from Champions Block as well, but I don't know how it's spelled. Candle, can't be too many candle cards. Candle's Glow, yeah. So this is similar to the fog, but it also has spice onto arcane itself. I think the mistake a lot of people are making is they think that if they draft a blue-red deck with 20 spells, then it has to be awesome. But if all the creatures are awesome as well, things well change a little bit. Yeah, I don't really have much to do here. If you have any suggestions at what we could do, then please let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to join a standard two-man. There has to be some cool games you can play, stuff like that. Yeah, I think my Naya Blitz deck isn't really good, but it's what I've been playing. Currently has a mix of Thalias, Rampagers, and Searing Spears, and I'm trying out 4 Ghost Quarter in the sideboard. But currently the metagame is very hostile towards Naya Blitz. A lot of people have too much removal. I played that at the WMCQ, yes. Oh, I also played 2 Pillar of Flame. Well, I want to focus on the draft. We had to mulligan the first hand because we had five lands, in case you were wondering. Yeah, I don't like to play one hexproof myself. I think that Naya Blitz has gotten somewhat of a bad reputation, but I think it's actually quite good and fun to play. I might go to um, might switch back to a control deck for like the last PDQ. What's being played in Block Constructed, I have really no idea because I didn't play the Pro Tour. I suppose I could make. Well, no, I don't think. I don't even know if I have Jaces. Oh, I do. Yeah, so I could probably just make the what's it called? The Esper control deck for block. No. Do you want to see one of them? Ah. I'm wondering what to show you. This is full of stuff. This is like super heavy. It's everything from Kamigawa, and when the cards are um, whoa, when the cards are face down, it means I have a playset, and they are all sorted alphabetically, so by collector's card number. Oh, I have 4 8.5 tails. Yeah, okay. It's just oh, Panama Hellkite. Holy cow. Nagato? Do you mean Nagayo Honor Bound, or what is it called? What is it called? Okay, now we are talking. 3. We are at 15. We don't take any damage here. Then we have the medic. Hmm. Kind of have to raise the Thundermaw now. I don't think I'll allow the trade here. Doesn't seem right. And we aren't really close to dying yet. Don't know. These decks usually play Bonfire, I think. This is an interesting spot. If we draw a red, we could actually play Control and kill the Thundermaw. If he has another Thundermaw, we need to win next turn. Yeah, Aristocrat also changes the clock. And this is a tight one. Voices are really hard to cast. I would love to play them, but they they don't like I can't cavern them, and yeah, not it's not a human, so it doesn't trigger the champion and so on. I thought about boarding it in against the decks that have too much removal. Yeah, this isn't looking great. So his first blocker. So his Gyro Sage can prevent 5, but then I only deal 9, right? I don't see how I killed him. Yeah, Burning to Emissary would have been insane because then I could have played both of these. Burning to Emissary would have been the perfect draw. No, I don't think I'm winning this. Yeah, Rampager would have been good also. Emissary was the best possible draw. He isn't going to make a mistake blocking here. I would be very surprised. In this matchup, Burning to Emissary is actually quite nice because it just gives you more board presence. And I like Searing Spear because his boars are 3/3 and so on. The thing is, if he has Bonfire, then I really like Thalia. This is Naya Blitz. If he has Bonfire, I like Thalia, but otherwise it's pretty bad. And if I want to keep in the Thalias, then I have to take out my own cards. Let's try the anti-Bonfire plan when we are on the play. I don't like mugging. This hand is great. It's not. I wouldn't really call it greedy. I think it's too early to say what's going to happen. Could have hardcast Search for Tomorrow, but didn't think that was necessary. I held back the emissary to help cast a Flinthoof Boar because I'm missing green. Is that a serious question? They're binders of magic cards. They could, like, some of them are magic commons, in fact. Putrefy. Okay, let us trigger the Boar's Elite. And then kill Flinthoof Boar. Like, you can't see the 10 boxes, the 10 4,000 card boxes below the binders. Don't think that that hand was greedy. No, I won't. I will only do coverage at Grand Prix. I'm quite organized, yes. I also didn't sideboard, which I might have wanted. It's possible that we made a mistake suspending the Bailoff altogether. Because of Search for Tomorrow, we could have just cast it on turn 5. So that might have been bad. But it totally depends what we draw. Oh, he has a Rifting Cloudskate also. Yeah, I'm not too sure if I played this correctly. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I think the suspending was fine, but we have to consider that we also lost like a trigger on the on this guy maybe. I'm going to activate it just in case. The champion kind of has to live here, otherwise we are in big trouble. This is an interesting mana base. Thought he was fairies, but doesn't really look like it. Yeah, so that's bad. That's really bad. I also, like, I saw the Huntmaster, so I should have bought it in the pillars. Well, he actually does have it off his Vivid Marsh. That's cool. So we take 7 here, and then we can live another turn taking 7. That's basically my hope, that we can draw into a Pallet Mycoderm. We're also putting on quite a lot of pressure, and he might be stuck on blue cards, looking at his mana base. Oh boy. Oh boy. So I'm going to try to resolve this guy and then kill with this the turn after. Just assuming that I survive this turn. Yeah, I have to assume that I survive this turn. He also has 6, so I think we raise this. Could I? I could have made 2 Cyprolings, and those would have given. Yeah, like he has 6 open mana, and I think it's less likely that he kills me this game. I don't know, like I think it's more likely that he can stop me from killing him this turn, rather than that he has like extra damage in his hand. Yeah, he has 6. Yeah, that's a good reason. I probably could have gone for it, not be punished. So now we need Rift Sweeper. I think we are losing this game here, so what happened to our frontline medic? It got killed. So we definitely want the Rift Sweeper, I think. The Baloth was quite nice, but he's playing blue. And we are already playing our anti-flyers cards. He's probably taking out like the 3/1 that can't block. That's pretty bad anyway. I like Imperial Sword. I think it's just Rift Sweeper for Baloth. Like these have the worst synergy. So okay. Thank you. I know Rift Sweeper. Don't think this is like removal isn't really all that important, but he's really quick and in the air. So I Echoing Courage and the Mycoderms to raise that, and otherwise I'm going to go on the defensive with Recluse and Penumbra Spider and so on. I don't think that I need a card like Incremental Growth. From what my deck has performed so far, it doesn't really seem... Oh, you do a Putrefy? That's good. Yeah, this game is over. I'm just going to concede. So this is an example where it's probably just correct to run these out. And then play this on turn 3. I might get punished a little bit if I draw a 4-drop. But these Thallids have been pretty amazing. Hopefully he doesn't have like Pepper Smoke. Whoa. Yeah, sure. I thought about holding back creatures here, like suspending Surge and then going slower, but I should be able to get Master Marios out of my graveyard later, as long as things work out. Like, I need him not to have flyers, basically. Yeah, this is all fine, this is all perfect. Basically, this is how I want the game to go. And he also has this, so it kind of looks like he doesn't have more lands, maybe. He also had some green lands last game, right? Or did I just see that wrong? Yeah, he didn't have an island last game. Hey, Muldrifter. So he's looking to draw some more lands. He can also like capsule lock me, but don't think it's going to come to that. All these amazing cards. I don't want to expose the Spore Sour just yet. That's pretty good. It's kind of like the value that you want to see. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to win him the game, but it's still very good. He could have the split-second mind control for 7. Forgot what it's called. Take Possession, I think. Yeah, I think that's the name. That might have been a mistake, because he could just as well get the Dismisser back, and I can't really get back the Admirers at the current stage. But I still want to get this active, so I don't really care. bouncing the Thalid again, but I'm still getting value every turn. And these O5s are truly amazing. Plains is somewhat bad, but I guess I can't complain really. Yeah, Forest would have been optimal, but I'm not going to complain. So if this is take possession, it's kind of sad. But if it's anything else, if it's Errant Ephemeron or something, I don't think we're losing. I wasn't really planning on casting Mask Admirers for a really long time, really. Like, the pressure isn't there, and um, the fungi in my hand are just too strong. Yeah, the capsule has. I was assuming it would come at some point, and now I get the Sporoloth Ancient as well, and then it's going to be absolutely crazy. Can still draw a forest for Mask Admirers this turn. Rift Sweeper doesn't do anything. I can get back Mask Admirers at some point. So if this resolves, maybe I should have probably tried to attack first. Okay. If he suspends something, that's really cool for us. I think it's more likely that we see the Executioner's Capsule now. And what does he target here? That's kind of difficult to say. Kind of has to be this guy, right? He's just absolutely insane. So this simply resolves. So I assume that he's just going to draw capsules till the end of the game, which means that his Trapper isn't really active. And now he might actually target the Sandsaw, but then I get even more. Then I get even more tokens. Yeah, that's also good. If I tap the flyer here, um, I would just give him a better blocker to double block the Soprolot. And I knew that I had him on the defensive. Yes, I live in Aachen, so this is quite close considering. Okay, no capsules anymore. Yeah, and like if he attacks, I take 2, and he has a blocker less, which is even worse for him. So he drew into a swamp and concedes. That's it. Sweet, sweet Surprolings. Hey. Yeah, here in Germany we had some pretty bad weather. It was really nice for a while, but then it basically turned around. It seems like most of you are from Europe. A lot of Germans and Dutch people here, but I don't even know um, who's streaming right now. That's also like always important. Magic comes. I really have no idea. Like I at the beginning of the stream, you can always check out the archives later. I basically said that I think that Imperiosaur and Search for Tomorrow are pretty underrated green commons, and that they work well together, and that they are better than cards a lot of people pick higher, like Dust Rasp or Kodama's Reach, or some of the 5-color strategies. And yes, Search for Tomorrow is, I think it's amazing in this format, and I think it has been great whenever we drew it so far. So, and the Thallids, well, they do work. They do serious work. I think this is a very powerful Modern Masters draft deck, and um, it would be even more powerful if we had a more streamlined strategy, like fatty, 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 and even this one. And this Penumbra Spider, Masked Admirers, Nantuko Shaman, Soulfield Recluse, all of these would better be off as Thallids, like having more of these, for example. But I suppose having like a completely streamlined deck is just not realistic. Hey, Canadians and Americans also. I thought like I could stream again, and this is also like one of the last days before Vegas, so yeah. Those who are playing Vegas. Yeah, doubling season is basically impossible to beat in the right deck. It doesn't make suspend worse, right? It just works for permanence, I think. Well, oh yeah. So we have to wait one more round. It's very rare that I play Swiss Q, so it's possible that we just have a weaker opposition here. But I think the decks we faced were quite potent. Well, White Black Rebels is definitely strong. I don't know. I don't feel like particularly powerful when I play the Rebels. You just like if you miss your fourth land drop, it's awful, and then you have the advantage of having a steady stream of cards, but almost none of them are worth the 4 mana investment. And even worse, you have no way of going bigger. You can't like chain upwards like you could with the original Rebels. And that means that at some point your mana is just not going to provide the same utility as the mana of other decks. So in classical card advantage terms, Rebels is good because you get a free card every turn, and then once you reach 8 mana, you go absolutely insane. But when you look at your mana curve, and you see 10 2 drops and 5 3 drops, and almost no 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, and 6 drops, then it's pretty obvious that all those cheap creatures aren't going to win the game by themselves, because a single card like Imperiosaur virtually trades for like 3 2 drops if you don't have Bounded Silence. And you are also kind of kind of weak to removal like that of Thundercloud Shaman, Grape Shot. Also, like there's a big Empty the Warrens going off, Flyers can raise you. Like, I see how Rebels can win games and that it's potentially a powerful archetype, especially if it's completely open. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's one of the best archetypes. This hand isn't amazing, but it has good draws all around. We can draw into lands, and then we have a good curve. We have a removal spell. We can search. Even drawing searches isn't bad. I don't think that's a mulligan with perfect mana and everything. Yeah, overall, I think that the format is so deep that there is almost no reason to go 3 color, because you're going to be facing very dedicated. Oh my god. Protection from red and blue. It's a horrible, horrible play to show me Sword of Fire and Ice and then attack. Like I can't state how horrible it is to let me know that you have a Sword of Fire and Ice and then attack with your 2/2. I can't really rank the format yet. I've just not close to enough experience with it. I think that Affinity is pretty bad in this format. Or I haven't seen a good deck yet. Oh, that's kind of unfortunate. Going to be a little bit aggressive here. I don't want sort of Fire and Ice to um, go on a flyer or anything. Yes, that's definitely true. Blake can judge. And from what I've seen from what I've seen, I would say that the value approach is most likely better. I don't even think that Arcbound Ravager is such an amazing card. I think it's okay. I know attacking here is a bit aggressive, but I think I can afford to. And I think blocking wasn't a smart move. I think I played around this sort of Fire and Ice sufficiently well. Well, you have to give your opponent the chance to mess up, right? Holy cow, this guy is just getting demolished. I just want this thing to incur Jadable also. Thank you. Couldn't pass up on the value. Like I think the pro play there is to just let damage resolve because you know that if the damage resolves, there's no way you lose. But I had to have to go for it. Okay, I was really scared when the sword hit, and then our opponent made some questionable play. Well, actually, the turn he played it was also already questionable. Colors to beat it, which is cool. Of course, I'm not going to rely on my Saltfield Recluse echoing courage tricks to beat the sword by its own. This time, I think it's just the Bailoff again. I like everything else in this deck. Yeah, a good Goblin deck, that's something that I would love to see. Well, I think Fairies is really, really easy to draft if it's open. Okay, this is my favorite card. I said that in the beginning that I was certain that Search for Tomorrow is absolutely criminally underrated, and it has been winning these games, or it has made it a lot easier to win these games. This is just basically a rampant growth that you don't have to pay for on turn 2. I think goblins would be interesting to draft, and I don't think I've seen a good deck yet. I also haven't seen a good giant deck yet. I'm not claiming I know much about the format. I don't. Most of what I know is observations from other people playing, and having drafted a little bit by myself. Well, let's put it that way. I don't think that there are no good whatever decks, but I think it's just not that likely to see them. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy was in the finals just because of the sword. Yeah, I don't have a bot, but I think Sword of Finalized. I think I have a sweet one. Look at this. Look at this. I really wanted to draw the Crows and Grip here. Yeah, it was probably also not like the smartest idea um, to draft the non-Phantom Q. Like, I mean, we got like 0 valuable cards, but we are winning our matches, so. I think we still block here again. Doesn't feel great, but giving him like all the value in the world also doesn't. Yeah, this hand hasn't developed. I think we've drawn zero non-lands. Oh well. This is also an important trick to know. If you have triggers going on the stack um, with the same text, then you can press F7 so that they all stack at the same time. Yeah, I think we lose this. I don't see us winning. I want some F6ing because I can't really do anything. He's targeting me. I mean, not looking pretty. Like I said, drawing almost only lands and him having the sword, kind of bad. Wood readers would be an option against the flooding. Probably more realistic to just no, I don't know that. Let's see. Wood readers isn't amazing, but it's also not bad. Again, it's not horrible. Let's put it that way. But overall, I think on the play we just go for our game plan. kind of want to keep this. Suspend search, play a Thallid, then the search gives us a white for path, and we have all the good Thallids. Yeah, I know it's a bit greedy on the play. Well, what do you want to say with this? The thing is, this could be a hand, one of the few hands where it's correct to keep a one-lander on the play because of how the hand shapes up. So just because it has one land on the play doesn't mean it's necessarily greedy. It could just develop into an incredible hand, and I think it's looking like it is. And that's simply from drawing a single land in our first two draw steps. So I think it's much closer to a two-land hand than what you might think. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's correct to keep it. It's not like I'm gambling super hard here. That was quite lucky, of course, to draw like two lands, but our hand had some of the best screw and flood protection there is. So, like Seth PD is coming to realize, was it really a gamble to keep it, or was this actually just a good hand? Because sometimes things aren't so trivial that you can just describe them by the number of lands in your opening hand. I don't want to sound too condescending, but I think that's one of the fascinating aspects of Magic in general, but also learning how to play. No, my hand had a perfect. My hand had like the perfect curve. Some of my most powerful cards, a Path to Exile, um, which also delays. Why am I being results oriented? I I don't think that's the case at all. Like I knew there was a slight risk, but I had a turn one search for tomorrow, so I needed a single land to start casting my spells, and I had a Thallid and a Path to Exile that I was guaranteed to be able to cast. Of course, I was lucky to play this on turn three. I wasn't expecting that at all, but don't really think you can call that lucky. Well, I don't think you can call that lucky. What happened? So Ivory Giant has two more turns to come down, and Warspite Extension really doesn't do much. Yeah, so Blatant Judge, this is a good point. Like, the thing is, you have to compare the hand I kept to, like, a random 6-card hand in a 16-land 3 Search for Tomorrow deck against a player with, well, a white-red mid-rangey deck that has Sword of Fire and Ice as one of the main ways to beat me. This gives +1/+1. Yes, Spank the Monkey, I could have pathed my own Thallid, or the Thallid that would have been produced, the Zeppelin that would have been produced. I'm wondering if how aggressive I have to play this, but I know I have protection from the sword, so there's really no reason to go overboard. I probably shouldn't have made that Zeppelin. I thought there was a chance I would attack with it. But well, and also having it in play means I can activate my the pump ability. Otherwise, somebody could respond to me making a Zeppelin. So this is super lethal, right? I get like 3 extra Zeppelins. Um, winning, like dealing 2 more damage the turn before you win accomplishes nothing, Billy the Kid. It's just, you could just as well not do it, basically. If the once the game is in it, oh, I should draw my card first, I suppose. Come on, I need to make all the supportings I can and make my creatures as large as possible. I think that's like a rule or something. Okay, so do actually need to pump a little bit here. And then we got it. -12. That's sufficient. So basically now we won 3 packs. Yeah, we opened 3 packs without really anything worthwhile. But playing 3-0 is pretty nice. So let's see. We did pick a Slaughter Pact, Path to Exile. Yeah, Path to Exile is probably our most valuable card. I don't even know if it's worth anything. So you know I have, well, no. Okay, never mind. We picked a Path to Exile. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It wasn't like we didn't really lose out this draft because we went 3-0 with a pretty sweet deck, I think. And it's also like 11:30. I'm afraid I have to stop streaming, just go to bed. I don't have time for another draft, so yeah. I don't know, is Paradise Mantle worth anything? Yeah, I would love to do another draft, but I have to work tomorrow and my wife already went to bed. I'm not flying to Vegas, I'm just playing this for fun, and I thought that streaming this was probably the most interesting format I could. Yeah, so I think we can take away that Search for Tomorrow did awesome work for us, and that it was a pretty sweet idea that green decks want, well, like normal, non-greedy green decks want Search for Tomorrow much more than Kodama's Reach. There's one more thing, like, of course, if you cut a land and then you play the searches, the potential for ramping goes down a little bit, but there's still a huge upside of just getting there faster, and it fixes your mana also, thins out your deck. I think it's an amazing card. And Thallids go crazy really, really quickly, and flyers don't have the same power. Well, flyers have less power than ground creatures of equal cost. So racing flyers isn't difficult with efficient creatures or combo kills like that offered by the Thallids. And in addition, I did have a Path to Exile, a Sandsower, a Penumbra Spider, and a flyer of my own. With Echoing Courage also like being one of the combo kill enablers or just a good trick. Saltfield Recluse also could have served to slow down flyers. I think that my deck is pretty well set up to beat flyer decks, flying decks. I could have, well, things against Dreamspell or Witches, like the fatties are much more important than like the 1-mana Thallids. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. Good, I hope you enjoyed the stream. My name is Simon Gotzen, and I'm streaming whenever I have the chance and I want to do some streaming. I also have several places on the interwebs where you can find me. First one, Twitch TV, Simon Gotzen, that's where we are right now. You can follow me on Twitter. I would love to have some more followers, and I think that I do tweet some interesting things a couple of times. I'm also working for Wizards for the European Grand Prix coverage. If you have the chance to check these out at Twitch TV/Magic, that would be great. I have a Tumblr blog that hasn't been updated in a while because I didn't have the time. And I have an English draft video series at the great site mtgoacademy.com that's also hosting limited resources, star, and coverage, colleague, Marshall Sutcliffe, and the Loading the Ready Run comedy drafts, among others. And if you know German or want to learn German, then go to planetmtg.de, where the Gertzen and Gertzen series is published, draft videos I do with my brother, and the next one should go up tomorrow, so check out the sweet Dragon's Maze draft that we did. Thanks for watching. Let me know what I can do better. Follow me on Twitter, and well, that's it for tonight. Bye bye.